Over 20 novels, 12 consecutive Sunday Times #1 hits. They've been adapted screen and stage. Her name is Martina Cole. She's known as the Queen of Crime. She's also the most widely read author in UK prisons.
I think the main one that I would have to give to people is write when you feel like it, don't try and force it. The really strange thing I find personally with writing is I can't force it. If I've got nothing to say, then I go off and do something completely different. I write in big spurts of I've done 27-hour stretches before now, and then I might have 2 days off and then write again for another 12 hours. I would say to anyone who wants to write, find your own rhythm and go with it. Out of all my books, I think every book you're writing as an author is always your favourite book because it's the one you're most involved with. I mean, I'm writing a book for next year now. Portrayal is out, you know, my next book's out in October, and I'm writing the 4th episode of my police procedurals, which is Kate Burrows and Patrick Kelly. So at the moment, that's my favourite book. But I have a really real soft spot for 2 women because I really like Susan Dawson. And I thought that she lived in such a terrible world, you know, of, you know, sort of being beaten by a husband, and she overcomes so many things. And I think it will always be Susan. I think it'll always be 2 women. I have a beautiful home in northern Cyprus, and I spend probably about 8 or 9 months of the year there now. And I do find it really easy to write there because it's quiet. All my children are offhand now. You know, even my grandson was 19, and I've got 19, 10 and 5 grandchildren, so even they're pretty much offhand these days. And I go out there to write, normally the 2nd and 3rd drafts, and I can write for 20 odd hours at a time. I can write for 10 hours at a time, have 2 days off or a week off and go back to it. I write as and when the fancy takes me, really. I don't know if I've so much as been inspired by other authors because I write from the point of view of the criminal. I remember when I was a kid reading Graham Greene, you know, and I was just so impressed with Brighton Rock. I actually felt quite sorry for Pinky because I thought that there must be a reason why he was like he was. So that probably, without realising it, I actually probably was already writing my genre. But a lot of books have inspired me in other ways. You know, I've been inspired by so many books in other ways. I mean, I know this sounds mad, but one of my favourite authors has always been Spike Milligan because he does inspire me to laugh. And when you write very serious, you know, serious, I wish he was here now to throw that man off the scaffolding with a hammer. Yeah. I think for me, the best guilty pleasure ever is a glass of champagne, a box of chocolates, and something like Emmerdale or Corrie, you know, something that's just sort of, you can just relax and not think about and just really enjoy. And that's my guilty pleasure. You know, we spend our whole life as authors, you know, we've always got to sort of focus on stuff and you're researching, and sometimes the researching can be very depressing and very harrowing. So my way of switching off is either humour or, you know, or sort of something like Emmerdale or Corrie, and I am a big fan, although I never watched EastEnders. I've never really had a ritual when I'm writing anything, you know. My only real ritual is when I type the end, I pour a large whiskey and I down it in one. Yep, and I'm like, yes, it's done. Do you know, it's funny, but people often say to me, did you want to be an author? All my life I want to be an author. I love books so much, and there's so few books that I haven't read, and people are often amazed at the amount of books that I have read and sort of the quality, which annoys me sometimes of the books that I've read. I collect first editions. I've got one of the earliest Alice's. I've got every book that I've ever loved in my life. I have managed to track down as first edition from oh God, I've got everything from To Kill a Mockingbird right the way through the card to Steinbeck. I've got a very early Vanity Fair. And I do love books, and I'm a book fanatic. when I plan a book, sometimes I might get the character. For example, I got Freddie Jackson for the take, and I built the whole take around Freddie because he was such a powerful character. And then I gave him his wife, I gave him his children, I gave him people around him that he could really, really spark off. The new book that I'm writing now, again, is with Kelly and Kate, which is obviously not Betrayal, will be out next year. That now, I'm really obsessed with the protagonist in it, you know. I'm really obsessed with the serial killer. And I haven't done a serial killer one for a few years. So it's fantastic to go back and revisit that, you know, that kind of character. So, I mean, I just write the characters mainly, and then I build lives around them. I think for me, the worst question that you can be asked as an author, especially a female author, you know, is your books, don't you think your books are very violent? And I have a really big problem with that, you know, because I think the assumption being, you know, that as a woman we can't be, you know, as violent as a man. And that really does make me angry. I mean, have you read Val McDermott's books? Have you read mine? I mean, we women, you know, we write powerful characters. And also I think we have the edge because, you know, men get mad and women get even. And I think that pretty much sums it up. A few years ago, I lost 18 chapters of a book. And I was devastated. My computer got a virus and went a bit crazy on me. But for saying that, I actually once trashed 18 chapters of a book because I didn't like it and it wasn't going where I wanted it to go, and I deleted the whole lot and started again. I don't really think there's been a growth in women writing. I think women have always been in the majority where writing's concerned. I think men just got most of the accolades for so long. You know, most people who buy books are women, believe it or not, or was for many, many years. So yeah, and I just think more female, you know, more female artists and more female writers are just becoming well known in their own right. I don't think that there's any more female writers now. I just think you hear more about them.
So you've been watching Martina Cole. Tell us, as we'd love to know, what your favourite Martina Cole novel is. Just put that in the comment box below.